Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the Gentle Art of Crushing It show, where we focus on learning and sharing with our listeners all there is to know about how to create success in our lives. This show stands on the shoulders of giants. Our mission is to empower and inspire our listeners to create the life of their dreams whilst having a blast in the process. Let's celebrate life together. Welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining me on another episode of The Gentle Art of Crushing It. I hope that your day is going amazingly well. And so the topic of today's discussion is multiply your efforts. So why? Why should you multiply your efforts? Well, why not, right? Why not earn money while you sleep or have work done in a city that you're hundreds of miles away from or gain interest on a property, or cryptocurrency or a stock or an investment of some sort while you're watching a movie, eating popcorn, right? So here's a few ways to multiply your efforts. So of course, you could invest in stocks or cryptocurrencies that you like, or you could invest in real estate, to name a few. You could also, work on personal development and then, multiply your efforts that way, right? But you also, of course, have the option of hiring a VA. These are not this is an exhaustive list of, how you can multiply your efforts. It's just touching on a few of them. You could also collaborate on projects, music projects or whatever it is. And, really the main, point of today's conversation is you could partner up. So today we're really going to be talking about partnerships. So in the past and even currently, and this is going to happen, forever, probably most likely, I've heard of a lot of stories about partnerships that end up turning into horror stories. And this definitely does happen again, which is why we want to create our criteria for partnerships before we begin to seek out the partners. We also want to set up safeguards and boundaries that we're not willing to cross. So I am getting a little bit ahead of myself though. And so one of the, biggest mistakes that I've made in my life is priding myself on handling everything myself. So swap out the clutch, fix the fence, paint the house, invest in real estate solo was probably one of I'm grateful that I got started, and I'm saying solo, but ultimately it was my wife and I who started together. And so, Carissa, you are amazing, the love of my life, and I appreciate you greatly forever and ever. And for one of those reasons is because that you supported me in getting started in real estate investing. So we started with one little single family residence that we bought and we threw some money into, and we got tenants in there right away. Now, from there to that was 2020, 2023 is when we really started to explode. So from 2020 to 2023, we actually bought that one. We bought another one, and we bought a piece of land. We did buy another house. So 3 homes in those 3 years and one piece of land. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. And then from 2023 to 2025, I apologize, I'd have to run the numbers again, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 360 doors. So we went from 3 doors, and one of those was a partnership. So that house I partnered with, my wife and I partnered with my mother, and that did help us grow a little faster. And then we stepped into partnering with some guys that are absolute rock stars in the space and very brilliant. And, one of them had a lot of experience and a huge portfolio already. And they both had great connections in different areas with brokers, with insurance brokers, with, mortgage brokers, and with investors. All right. So that first deal in 2023 that really kicked things off for me and my wife. I didn't use any of my money. I used other people's money. That is another way that you can multiply your effort and grow faster. So circling back, and just to really, really hammer the point home that investing in real estate all on my own, where especially if you are doing, I just want to encourage you to take this on. If you're doing everything all by yourself, if you're, fixing the toilets, if you're mowing the lawn, if you're painting that house, if you're doing all the repairs, you are absolutely, most definitely, stymieing your growth, stunting your growth in a huge way. Um, so I kind of want to share. Let's talk about this real quick, okay? So, if you spent some time and let's just say you learned how to source deals and analyze them and find really really profitable big deals, and you figure out that the time that you spend here is actually doing that is actually worth, let's say, $1,000 an hour, which may be high. Let's go conservative and let's say $200 an hour. Let's go even way more conservative than that and say $50 an hour. I think that's pretty, believable for most people to figure out that part of real estate investing that they actually enjoy doing, if they are effective at it and they're actually closing deals on moving the needle forward and, managing those properties properly, so on and so forth, that it's safe to assume that that could be worth minimum $50 an hour. So if that's the case, why would you go to that property and mow the lawn at more like $7.25 an hour or even $12 an hour? Or, why would you paint that property at $20 an hour or even $30 an hour, right? So that's the thought process behind that. There is, I guess close to 8 billion people or over 8 billion people on planet Earth. So one of the blessings of running a business is that you can employ good people and you are helping them while they're helping you're also helping the community and they're helping the community, right? And so multiply your efforts through partnership and through building out a team is kind of what my point is here. So, you know a solopreneur, we're going to go into that a little bit more here, but that's what I was. And I did spend a lot of time trying different things. I flipped land for a little bit. Wholesaled land. I tried to wholesale single family residents and businesses. And I considered, flipping, and I considered note investing, and I considered, um, a multitude of different real estate investing strategies. And what I sort of landed on, and I personally believe that it it was orchestrated by God Himself, because the way that everything worked out, it's just really unbelievable. And so, uh, but regardless, I would strongly recommend that you begin to work with other people right away. With that being said, before you engage in partnering with anybody, let's kind of talk and dive a little bit deeper into this topic. So, you know, if you are a solopreneur, if you are a real estate investor, or if you are someone who has had trouble with growing, in the past, and maybe you've been stuck for, a few months or, multiple years, which is very common. I would say that I'd have to admit I was stuck for about 3 years. Um, I would say, that to ask yourself, I'd encourage you to ask yourself, are you dreaming too small? Are you taking too small of action? And how can you grow faster and bigger than ever before? If you feel like you're not dreaming big enough and don't know how to multiply your efforts, may I again suggest partnerships? I may be getting a little bit redundant here with the word partnerships, but that's because it's very important to build a team so you can grow and learn and share frustrations, victories, tasks, etc. I think that a lot of people have fears around partnering, or they don't know how to do it in the first place, or they don't even know how to take the first step. So let me shed some light on this subject and ask you to get clarity on, who you'd want to partner with before you even do. So here's a few questions that can help you here. So who do you want to work with? Is it safe to, or it probably is safe to assume that you want to work with an intelligent, honest partner, and that's a great start. But what else? We need to dive deeper. We need to, on paper or in our mind or on, a Google Doc or online, wherever you like to take notes, we need to get this partner, your ideal partner, down, on paper. So figure out your criteria, your buy box for your partner. So does this partner or partners have more real estate investments than you, or have more experience than you, or have more connections than you? Not a bad thought, right? I encourage you to dive even deeper though. Think friendships, right? Who do you like to hang out with? What sort of person do you like to hang out with? What sort of personalities are in alignment with yours, or what core beliefs are in alignment with yours? What are your core beliefs? Will your core beliefs and your partners line up? And we're not saying, hey, this is not a perfect world, of course, and we can't expect perfection, but this exercise of putting down on paper who we want to work with in detail can help you avoid linking up with someone that, really wouldn't be a good fit for you. So I hope that this brings you some good value. If you will use it, I promise it'll bring you incredibly good value. So again, here is your homework assignment. Sit down on a piece of paper, give yourself 15 minutes. All you're asking for is, what sort of a person do you want to partner with, right? Like honest, brilliant, successful, an action taker. You don't want to partner with someone who's a moocher, right? That goes without saying. So, but let's put down the opposite of what the things that you don't want is, like an action taker, someone who is polite, someone who is friendly, someone who is self-aware, someone who is thoughtful, someone who is dreaming big. Partner with someone who has dreams of, becoming multimillionaire, or, owning 5,000 doors, or a billionaire. This is what I encourage for you. And if you don't believe you can, that's a limiting belief that I would ask you, can you know for 1,000% that is true? And the answer always to that question is no. I mean, not always, but like in this scenario is 1,000% no. Okay. You can partner. If you don't believe that answer to that question is no, that again is a limiting belief. Let's dig a little deeper. Okay. But the truth is, you can partner with heavy hitters that are amazing people, that are good people, and they are out there in abundance. The opposite is scarcity mindset, right? We don't want to be working with that. We want to be working with abundance mindset. Okay. The world is full with, again, over 8 billion people, I guess. Let me look up here real quick. World population 2025 is. And so think about that in abundance, right? So what do we see around us? We might hear from those around us or from the people that raised us. So the world's population today is 8.23 billion people. We might hear that their scarcity is the reality. We might have been taught that scarcity is reality. What do we see with our eyes? What do we hear with our ears? What do we taste, and what do we breathe in? Oxygen, for example, is here in abundance. Okay, water is here in abundance. Yes, these are resources that are, to some extent, truthfully, limited, but it's super abundant oxygen. Let's take another look at, another ridiculous example of abundance. How many grains of sand are on planet Earth? Right? That is such a crazy number, but clearly sand is here in abundance, right? Molecules, right? And so I'd encourage you to accept the fact that we live in a reality that is chock full of abundance. And one of those pieces of abundance could be your monetary abundance in the future, the abundance of amazing people out there that you could partner with. If you're looking for, this is business partnership mostly focused, but also if you are single and you're looking for a partner, get that partner down on paper and realize that this is a fact if you believe it. And this is what I encourage for you, that we live in a world of an abundance. Okay. So get your ideal partner down on paper, love partner, love interest, right? Or business partner. And so please keep that in mind, right? That's sort of your homework assignment. And I do have this question for you, though, but why partner? And so I'll tell you, for me, there's a ton of reasons why I partnered with two absolute rock stars. Actually, our team consists of more than the three of us, but all of our partners are incredibly amazing people. Tyler, Mason, Jordan, Ashley, you all are crazy awesome rock stars. I appreciate you very much. And so partnering, helps us with accountability, multiplying efforts, personal growth. I often, look at my friend and partner, Jordan, and just go, this guy works so hard, and, he will not complain about it. And he just looks at, like, where is more? Where is more for me to do? I want more. I want to grow faster. And that inspires me. The same with all the rest of my partners that I just mentioned there a minute ago, right? So personal growth is a part of partnership when you partner with good people. It helps sharpen our people skills as well, partnering, right? Because if you are interacting with these people on a regular basis and you want this to be a very long and sustainable and happy and positive relationship, you've got to work on your people skills, self-awareness, right? Self-awareness, self-awareness, self-awareness. I love that phrase because it makes me think, how am I coming across to other people? And I know I can always improve. So, again, sharpening our people skills is a benefit of partnering. But let me share with you two massive value add points that can happen via partnering up. So imagine never sourcing a deal again and never raising money again, or at least, doing a lot less of it, or less asset management, right? Or more asset management if that's what you really like. But you don't have to do all of these. If you're doing all of these, then you're a solopreneur. And there are successful solopreneurs out there, right? Don't get me wrong. But if you are one of those and you don't like it, I'd encourage you to look into partnering because it can help you grow faster. So all of the tasks that go along with asset management can be shared so that the load is lighter and less potential for tasks to slip through the cracks. Imagine partnering with someone whose vision and goals are light years ahead of yours and dwarf yours. Would that be powerful to you? Now, I'm not an attorney or an accountant, so keep that in mind, of course. But if you are a solopreneur and it's not working for you, or you feel like you're grinding and you're stressed and overwhelmed, consider partnering. Now, if you do have any questions, as always, I haven't really said this in the past, but feel free to reach out to me directly with any questions, or, hey, tell me I'm wrong, or if you have any other insights, you can go to our website, The Gentle Art of Crushing It, and you can send me a message, or Randy. And, there again is another, picture of why partnering with good, solid rock stars like Randy Smith pays off. He is an absolute rock star of this show. Of this podcast, he is most of it, right? Because he's a hardworking rock star who is a very, very good person. And so with that being said, I also believe that you're a very good person, an incredible person. And so, thank you so much for listening to another episode of The Gentle Art of Crushing It. Please remember to make this life magnificent. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Have a wonderful day.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of The Gentle Art of Crushing It. It was an amazing episode. We know we sure learned a lot, and we hope you did as well. We want to take a second and thank you so much for viewing or listening to this episode. And please just know that we only ask for one favor, and that is to make this life magnificent. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.